80s TV created moments we'll never forget. Knight Rider, Alf, and the A-Team kept us glued to the screen, but what about the shows that quietly disappeared from our memory? In this video, we're rediscovering 20 forgotten 1980s TV shows that shaped our childhood. These shows played a huge role in our childhoods, even if no one talks about them anymore. Stick around, because rediscovering them will bring back those moments that shaped who you are today. The greatest American hero.
But when they're in trouble, who do they call?
The greatest American hero.
That's right.
Among the big names in 80s TV, there were shows that didn't stick around as long but left their mark in a different way. One of those gems was The Greatest American Hero. Ralph Hinckley, a regular high school teacher, was given an alien superhero suit with powers beyond imagination, but there was one major problem: he lost the instructions. That was the magic of the show. We got to watch Ralph hilariously stumble through flying mishaps and awkward attempts at saving the day, making him one of the most relatable heroes ever. The charm wasn't just in the comedy, it was in the message that being a hero isn't about perfection, it's about trying, no matter how clumsy or flawed. And let's not forget the theme song, Believe It or Not, which became an anthem of the time and is probably still playing in your head right now. Though the show ended after 3 seasons due to declining ratings, it left a lasting impact on those who watched it. Did you know there was an attempt to reboot the series in the 2000s? While it never took off, the original remains a quirky yet unforgettable part of 80s TV history. Misfits of Science.
Billy at the wheel, they're out to save the world and have a blast. The Misfits of Science, Fridays this fall.
If you loved quirky science fiction with a sense of humor, then Misfits of Science was the show for you. It followed a team of outcasts with strange powers. Think of it as the 80s version of today's superhero teams, but with a lot more laughs. There was Johnny, who could generate electricity, and Gloria, who had telekinetic powers. Together they made the perfect team of misfits trying to save the world, one bizarre adventure at a time. What made this show memorable wasn't just the action, but the chemistry between the characters and the way it embraced its weirdness. It was unapologetically fun, never taking itself too seriously, which is probably why it gained a cult following despite only lasting 1 season. And here's something you might not know: Courtney Cox, before her Friends fame, was one of the stars of the show. Sadly, Misfits of Science was canceled due to low ratings, but it remains a hidden treasure of 80s TV for those who remember it. It was the kind of show that made you wish you had strange powers and could join the fun. Sometimes it's the shows that don't take themselves too seriously that leave the biggest impact. Small wonder. Now, let's talk about a show that had every kid wishing for a robot sibling, Small Wonder. The premise was both bizarre and fascinating. A robotics engineer builds a lifelike robot, Vicky, who looks like a human child and tries to pass her off as his daughter. The catch? She's programmed to learn, but with a very monotone, robotic delivery, which led to all kinds of hilarious misunderstandings. Small Wonder wasn't just a quirky sitcom, it was a show that captured the imagination of kids in the 80s. What if you could have a robot who could do all your chores, help you cheat at school, or even freeze time? Vicky's abilities and the strange situation she found herself in made every episode a unique adventure. The show tapped into the fascination with robots that was everywhere in the 80s, but it also gave us a sense of heart as Vicky tried to navigate life like a real girl. Despite some criticism for its campy acting, Small Wonder lasted 4 seasons, longer than many of its contemporaries. And for those who watched it, the image of Vicky in her signature red dress is burned into memory. It's one of those shows that, if you mention it today, immediately sparks nostalgic conversations. Out of This World. Imagine being a teenager who can stop time with just the touch of your fingers. That's the fantasy Out of This World delivered to kids in the 80s. Evie Garland wasn't just any teen. She was half human, half alien, and inherited some pretty cool powers from her extraterrestrial dad, including the ability to freeze time, communicate with her dad via a crystal, and teleport objects. What more could a kid dream of? This show tapped into every teen's fantasy of having secret powers while trying to navigate the awkwardness of adolescence. It wasn't just about the sci-fi elements, it was about growing up and figuring out how to use the abilities you've been given. Evie's powers often led to funny and sometimes touching moments as she tried to balance her normal life with her extraordinary abilities. Out of This World lasted 4 seasons, and while it wasn't as mainstream as some other shows of the time, it certainly made an impact on those who watched. Who didn't wish they could stop time and escape awkward moments? The show ended with an unresolved cliffhanger, which left fans wondering what happened next. But for those who grew up watching it, Evie and her powers will never be forgotten. Riptide. If you were a fan of crime solving with a tech twist, then Riptide was one of those hidden gems that kept you coming back for more. This show had everything: detectives, a cool boat, high-tech gadgets, and even a quirky robot named Roboz. It followed 3 private investigators, Cody, Nick, and Murray, who ran their detective business out of a boat, solving cases using not just street smarts, but also the latest in 80s tech, which felt futuristic at the time. Riptide stood out because it combined the action-packed detective genre with the fun of high-tech gadgets, from helicopters to robos, who added a dose of humor to the show. And let's be honest, what kid or teenager in the 80s didn't love the idea of having their own robot sidekick to help them solve mysteries? Though it never quite reached the same level of fame as other detective shows like Magnum, P.I., Riptide lasted 3 solid seasons and left a lasting impression on its loyal fans. The blend of action, technology, and humor was a recipe that felt unique at the time. It's one of those shows that, when mentioned today, instantly brings back memories of adventure-filled afternoons in front of the TV. The powers of Matthew Starr. What could it be cooler as a teenager than discovering you're actually an alien prince with telekinetic powers? That was the hook of The Powers of Matthew Starr, a show that blended high school drama with out-of-this-world sci-fi. Matthew Starr was no ordinary teen. He was a prince from another planet hiding on Earth, trying to blend in while secretly using his abilities to protect himself from alien enemies. The show had an irresistible mix of teenage wish fulfillment and action-packed adventure. Imagine dealing with high school bullies one minute and fighting off intergalactic threats the next. Matthew's powers, especially his telekinesis, made him the ultimate fantasy hero for kids watching at the time. He was learning how to control his abilities, all while trying to lead a normal life, something every teenager could relate to, superpowers or not. Despite the cool concept, the show struggled with ratings and only lasted 1 season. It didn't help that one of the stars, Louis Gossett Jr., was injured on set, which led to production delays. Still, for fans who remember it, The Powers of Matthew Starr remains a hidden gem of 80s television, combining high school angst with the allure of secret powers. Ottoman. Imagine living in a world where your computer could create the perfect superhero sidekick. That's exactly what Ottoman gave us, a high-tech fantasy come to life. The show followed Walter Nebuchar, a police officer and computer whiz who created a holographic crime fighter, Ottoman. Ottoman wasn't just any hologram. He could interact with the real world, create vehicles out of thin air, and had incredible strength, making him the ultimate partner in fighting crimes. The show's futuristic concept was a dream for anyone who loved technology and superheroes. Ottoman could turn into a glowing car, plane, or helicopter at will, often leaving Walter scrambling to keep up. For kids in the 80s, this was the epitome of cool, technology that felt years ahead of its time. And let's not forget Cursor, Ottoman's glowing sidekick that added a touch of charm and humor to every episode. Despite its innovative special effects, Ottoman only lasted 1 season, mainly due to high production costs. The show's flashy visuals were groundbreaking, but they were also too expensive to maintain for television at the time. Even so, Ottoman remains one of those shows that, for those who watched, left a lasting impression of what the future could look like. Manimal.
Manimal.
In the 80s, the idea of a man who could transform into any animal felt like pure magic, and that's exactly what Manimal delivered. The show followed Dr. Jonathan Chase, a wealthy crime fighter with the unique ability to morph into various animals to help solve crimes. Whether he was transforming into a hawk to scout the area or a panther to chase down criminals, each episode brought a thrilling new adventure. Manimal was ahead of its time, using special effects to show Chase's transformations, which for the 80s were mind-blowing. The concept of a man using animal instincts to fight crime captured the imagination of kids and teens alike. Who didn't want to be able to change into a powerful animal at will? The show balanced action with a bit of mystery, keeping viewers guessing which animal Chase would turn into next. Though it only lasted 8 episodes, Manimal became a cult favorite, remembered for its unique premise and groundbreaking special effects. The show's cancellation was mainly due to low ratings, but it's still fondly recalled as one of the most ambitious and imaginative TV experiments of the 80s. Even today, its name sparks curiosity and nostalgia for those who grew up watching it. The Highwayman. If you loved futuristic crime fighting mixed with a bit of the Wild West, The Highwayman was your dream show. Set in a near-future America, the show followed a mysterious figure known only as the Highwayman, who drove a high-tech weaponized truck while chasing down criminals across the country. Think of it as Mad Max meets Knight Rider, with a giant truck that could transform into a helicopter. What made this show so cool was the sheer sense of adventure and the unique mix of sci-fi with a rugged lone wolf hero. The Highwayman's truck was the star of the show, packed with gadgets and tricks that could get him out of any situation. For kids and teens who loved action, this show was a playground of imagination. What could be better than a truck that could fly? Unfortunately, The Highwayman didn't last long, just 9 episodes. Despite its ambitious concept and cool tech, the show struggled to find an audience and was canceled. But for those who watched, it was one of those rare gems that offered a glimpse into what the future of adventure TV could look like. It remains a forgotten treasure, with fans still reminiscing about that iconic truck. Voyagers.
He knows women. Dog.
So jump in on the action, adventure, and fun.
If you ever dreamed of traveling through time, then Voyagers was the ultimate wish fulfillment. This adventure-packed show followed a time traveler named Phineas Bogg and his young sidekick Jeffrey Jones as they journeyed through different historical periods, fixing events that had gone wrong. Equipped with a special device called the Omni, which looked like a pocket watch, they could leap from ancient Egypt to the Wild West in a matter of seconds. What made Voyagers so fun was its blend of historical education with thrilling adventures. Every episode had Bogg and Jeffrey navigating through famous events in history, often encountering legendary figures like Thomas Edison or Cleopatra. For kids, it was like getting a crash course in history with the excitement of a time-traveling adventure. And let's be honest, who didn't fantasize about hopping through time and meeting historical icons face to face? Sadly, Voyagers only lasted 1 season, despite its creative premise and dedicated fan base. One of the reasons for its cancellation was the expensive production costs of recreating different historical periods every week. But even with its short run, the show left a lasting impression. It remains a hidden gem for those who loved history mixed with a dash of fantasy, and for many it was their introduction to the idea of time travel in television. The Phoenix.
For mankind, the Phoenix. For 1,000 years.
In the 80s, the idea of a man from another planet awakening on Earth with incredible powers captured the imagination of kids and teens alike, and that's exactly what the Phoenix delivered. The show followed Bennu of the Golden Light, an ancient alien who had been sleeping on Earth for centuries, only to awaken in modern times. Bennu, portrayed by Judson Scott, had extraordinary abilities like telepathy, telekinesis, and the power to heal. His mission, to find his long-lost companion Mira, while also helping humanity in the process. What made the Phoenix so captivating was its mix of mysticism, science fiction, and adventure. Bennu's gentle nature and wisdom made him an unusual hero. He wasn't about fighting, but rather about solving problems with his intellect and powers. His connection to ancient wisdom and extraterrestrial origins gave the show a deeper, almost spiritual tone. It was a show that made you think, while still delivering the excitement of an alien on Earth. Sadly, the Phoenix was short-lived, only airing 5 episodes before being canceled due to low ratings. Despite its brief run, it earned a cult following thanks to its unique premise and thoughtful storytelling. Fans of the show still remember it as a hidden treasure, one that brought something truly different to the landscape of 80s television. Jace and the Wheeled Warriors.
For his father to unite the magic root and lead his lightning league to victory.
For those who grew up with a love for epic battles between good and evil, Jace and the Wheeled Warriors was a thrilling animated adventure that hit all the right notes. The show followed Jace, a young hero on a mission to reunite with his father and defeat the evil Saw Boss and his army of sentient plant vehicles known as the Monster Mines. With the help of his loyal team and their transforming vehicles, Jace journeyed across the galaxy, battling these villains at every turn. The magic of Jace and the Wheeled Warriors was in its imaginative world building and exciting action sequences. The vehicles, which could transform and fight on both land and air, were a dream for any kid who loved cars and robots. Each episode was packed with fast-paced chases, daring rescues, and inventive strategies to outsmart the monster minds. The show was also filled with underlying themes of family and perseverance, as Jace's quest to find his father kept the emotional stakes high. Despite its popularity, Jace and the Wheeled Warriors never got the proper ending it deserved, as the series was cancelled before the storyline could be resolved. Still, it remains a beloved memory for those who tuned in, and its mix of action, heart, and sci-fi adventure has cemented it as a cult classic of 80s animated TV. Mask, Mobile Armored Strike Command. For kids in the 80s, Mask was the perfect blend of everything they loved: cool vehicles, secret missions, and epic battles between good and evil. The show followed Matt Tracker and his team, known as Mask, who fought against the criminal organization Venom. What made this show stand out? The vehicles. Each one had the ability to transform into battle-ready machines, like motorcycles that turned into helicopters or cars that became submarines. And let's not forget the masks each character wore, giving them special abilities in combat. The combination of high-octane action and imaginative technology made Mask an instant hit with kids. It was like watching the best parts of a spy thriller, superhero show, and racing competition all rolled into one. Every episode brought a new mission, with Tracker and his team using their advanced tech and vehicles to stop Venom's latest evil plan. The fast-paced action and transformations kept viewers glued to the screen, and for many it sparked endless hours of play with the Mask toy lines. Despite its popularity, Mask eventually faded after 2 seasons. However, it left a lasting legacy. The innovative concept of vehicles and secret tech still resonates with fans today, and it remains one of the most iconic action cartoons of the 80s. Turbo Teen.
Saturdays this fall, who's the fastest teenager in town? Turbo Teen.
Imagine turning into a sports car whenever you got too hot. Sounds strange, right? Well, that's exactly what happened to Brett Matthews, the teen hero of Turbo Teen. After a freak accident involving a high-tech government experiment, Brett gained the ability to transform into a red sports car whenever his body temperature rose. Whether he liked it or not, he could shift between human and car form, often finding himself in wild chases or racing to stop the bad guys. For kids in the 80s, Turbo Teen was the ultimate fantasy. What could be cooler than turning into a sleek, fast car to escape danger or race around with your friends? The show's combination of action, humor, and bizarre transformation sequences kept viewers entertained, even if the concept was, well, a little far-fetched. Every episode saw Brett and his friends trying to control his transformations while stopping criminals or solving mysteries. Despite its fun premise, Turbo Teen didn't last long, only running for 13 episodes. While short-lived, it became a cult favorite, especially for those who loved the idea of blending human abilities with cool, car-centric action. The show may have been brief, but it's one of those quirky 80s gems that left a lasting impression on those who watched it. Tales of the Gold Monkey. If you love the adventure and excitement of movies like Indiana Jones, then Tales of the Gold Monkey was a must-watch. Set in the late 1930s in the South Pacific, the show followed Jake Cutter, a former Flying Tigers pilot who ran a seaplane charter business, often getting caught up in dangerous missions involving treasure hunts, spies, and mysterious artifacts. With his loyal dog Jack, his one-eyed mechanic Corky, and the mysterious lounge singer Sarah, Jake's adventures took him to exotic islands and put him up against everything from Nazis to supernatural forces. The show captured the imagination of kids and teens with its blend of adventure, humor, and high-stakes action. Every episode felt like stepping into a new world full of danger and excitement, where Jake's trusty plane, the Grumman Goose, would swoop in to save the day. The lush tropical settings and fast-paced storylines made Tales of the Gold Monkey feel like an epic adventure every week. Though it only lasted 1 season, the show became a cult classic, fondly remembered for its thrilling plots and likable characters. It was one of those shows that made you want to grab your toy plane and head off on your own treasure hunting mission. Even today, fans remember it as one of the best adventure series of the 80s. The Edison Twins. For fans of science, problem solving, and good old-fashioned adventures, the Edison Twins was a perfect blend of entertainment and education. The show followed teenage twins Tom and Annie Edison, along with their younger brother Paul, as they used their scientific knowledge to solve everyday problems and mysteries. The series was unique because after each episode, they would explain the science behind their solutions, turning the show into a fun learning experience for young viewers. What made the Edison Twins memorable wasn't just the clever mysteries the twins unraveled, but also the way it encouraged kids to think critically and apply science to real-life situations. Whether they were solving puzzles involving chemistry, physics, or technology, the show made science cool, and its relatable characters were easy for young viewers to connect with. The upbeat theme song also made it instantly recognizable to anyone who grew up watching it. The series ran for 6 seasons, a rare feat for a kids show in the 80s. While it never reached the iconic status of other 80s hits, it holds a special place in the hearts of those who tuned in every week, fascinated by the clever mix of science and adventure. The Edison Twins remains one of those shows that subtly shaped a generation of curious young minds. Sectors, Warriors of Symbian.
These are the Sectors, the Warriors of Symbian.
For kids who were fascinated by action-packed fantasy worlds, Sectors, Warriors of Symbian offered a thrilling mix of epic battles and insect-inspired adventure. Set on the planet Symbian, where genetic experiments had gone wrong, humans had evolved to bond with giant mutant insects. The show followed Prince Dargon and his band of warriors as they fought against the evil General Spidrax and his army. Each warrior had a loyal insect steed, which could fly, fight, and communicate telepathically with its rider. What made Sectors stand out was its combination of science fiction and fantasy. The insect-themed creatures and battles were unlike anything else on TV at the time, and for fans of action figures, the toys that came with the show were a huge hit. The series was dark, intense, and full of larger-than-life battles, making it a favorite among kids who loved dramatic, high-stakes action. Dedicated fan base, Sectors only lasted 1 season with just 5 episodes airing, but it made a lasting impression on those who watched. The show's mix of mutant creatures, telepathic bonds, and thrilling combat scenes kept fans hooked, and its action-packed adventures still bring back vivid memories for those who grew up in the 80s. Kids Incorporated.
On the next Kids Incorporated, the band meets Mubala, a visitor from a faraway land.
For many kids growing up in the 80s, Kids Incorporated was a perfect blend of music, friendship, and teenage drama. The show followed a group of talented kids who performed in a band while dealing with the ups and downs of growing up. Each episode featured performances of popular songs from the time, giving it a music video vibe mixed with relatable teenage storylines. Whether they were tackling everyday issues like friendship and school or singing their hearts out on stage, the show had a charm that made it a favorite for kids and teens alike. What made Kids Incorporated truly special was its focus on music. The cast, which included future stars like Fergie, then Stacey Ferguson, and Jennifer Love Hewitt, would perform cover versions of popular hits from the 80s, giving kids a reason to tune in every week. The upbeat, positive atmosphere of the show, combined with catchy music, made it a feel-good experience that was hard to resist. The show ran for nearly a decade, an impressive feat for any children's series, and became a pop culture staple. For those who remember it, Kids Incorporated was more than just a TV show. It was a celebration of music and the excitement of growing up. Danger Bay. For kids and teens who loved a mix of adventure and environmental awareness, Danger Bay was a standout show in the 80s. Set in the stunning landscapes of Vancouver, the show followed Dr. Grant Doc Roberts, a marine biologist who worked at the Vancouver Aquarium, alongside his 2 children, Nicole and Jonah, and their adventures involving wildlife rescue, ecological threats, and solving environmental crimes. Danger Bay tackled important issues while keeping viewers entertained with exciting storylines. What made Danger Bay unique was its focus on conservation and wildlife preservation, something not commonly seen in children's programming at the time. Each episode presented an adventure rooted in nature, whether it was rescuing endangered species, combating poachers, or solving environmental mysteries. For kids fascinated by animals and the environment, Danger Bay was an educational yet thrilling escape. The show ran for 6 seasons, making it one of the longer-running series in the 80s, and it became a favorite for families looking for wholesome, nature-focused entertainment. While it didn't have the flashy action of some other 80s shows, its heart was in the right place, and it left a lasting impact on viewers who learned to care a little more about the world around them. Space Academy.
Space Academy, founded in the star year 3732.
For kids fascinated by space exploration and science fiction, Space Academy was a thrilling dive into the cosmos. Set in the year 3732, the show followed a group of young cadets at Space Academy, a futuristic school designed to train the next generation of space explorers. Under the guidance of Commander Gompu, these cadets, each with unique talents like telepathy and super strength, went on various missions to explore space and protect the galaxy from various threats. What made Space Academy stand out was its mix of futuristic gadgets, alien encounters, and moral lessons. Each episode felt like an adventure into the unknown, with the cadets often learning valuable lessons about teamwork, courage, and responsibility. For kids and teens who were already captivated by the real-life space race, Space Academy offered a glimpse into a future where they could imagine themselves piloting spaceships and exploring distant planets. Though the show only ran for one season, its imaginative set design, space-themed adventures, and diverse group of cadets made it memorable. For those who watched it, Space Academy was more than just a sci-fi show. It was an inspiring vision of what the future might hold for young adventurers eager to explore the stars. We've just relived some of the most unforgettable yet often overlooked TV shows from our childhood: The Greatest American Hero, Misfits of Science, Small Wonder, and more. These shows didn't just entertain us, they shaped our imagination, sparked our dreams, and became a part of who we are. Though many of them have faded from memory, the impact they had still lingers. So which of these hidden gems do you remember most fondly? And if you could bring just one back, which would it be? Share your thoughts, and let's keep the magic of these 80s classics alive together.